Hi there, I am Jen and I am the owner of Moved From Within Wellness. I'm a craniosacral therapist and a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, and I'm really passionate about health and really working through the lens of health. And what I just wanted to do today was a little video for you just to explain what is craniosacral therapy. So craniosacral therapy is the bulk majority of my practice and the foundation of my practice. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about exactly what it is and how it helps people. And I know that there's going to be lots of other questions after, so you can definitely contact me anytime, post comments. You can find me on my Facebook page, which is where this video is posted as well. So, and anytime, any other questions, just feel free to contact me. So let's go to it. What is craniosacral therapy? Well, craniosacral therapy is a really, really gentle touch therapy. And by touch therapy, I mean that in a session, my clients are on a massage table and they are fully clothed and as comfy as possible. I have pillows and blankets and yoga bolsters and all sorts of things to make sure people are super comfy. And my clients are usually on their back, but they're in any comfortable position that they need to be. So for example, if I have a client that isn't able to lay down, which I've totally had before, we prop them up and I make sure that they're comfortable in a semi-reclined or even a sitting position. So this therapy can be done in lots of different positions, but generally my clients are laying down on their backs on the massage table. And so what I physically am doing is I do make contact. This is a touch therapy. It's not an energy work like Reiki and other types of energy work practices. It is a physical touch therapy, so I do touch different places of the body, and I often will go to the places that seem like they need some attention. And so the thing that makes craniosacral therapy, especially biodynamic craniosacral therapy, which is what I practice, a little bit different is what I'm actually doing as a therapist is basically creating a space that your body feels safe and your nervous system is settled. And then basically I am listening to what's going on with your body and where your body actually really needs some support. And so a really good example of this that I'll just share with you is a client that I had and I worked with for several sessions that came to me with some chronic shoulder and neck issues. And during her sessions, a lot of stuff was happening in her jaw and some stuff in her shoulders as well, but there was a lot of reorganization and repatterning and movement that was really going on in the face and the jaw. And what had kind of come through was that there actually was a lot of stuff going on in there, and once that was all sorted out, the shoulder pain seemed to kind of resolve itself. So that's a really amazing example of how listening to the body through this way really allows our body to be able to clearly communicate its own priorities and go to where it needs to go in its own way. So I talked a little bit about the nervous system. So one of the reasons why it's really important for my clients to be comfortable is this is definitely not a no gain or no pain, no gain type of therapy. This is a therapy that works through the body's really gentle ways. And the thing about it is this is like, I've through my own healing journey experienced lots of different approaches and healing modalities. But why I think craniosacral therapy is extremely effective and works really well at not just masking symptoms, but actually making shifts and changes is that it works slowly and consistently and incrementally, and it works on your body's own terms. So as a therapist, I don't do manipulations. I'm not forcing or changing any kinds of shifts or changes or adjustments. What I'm doing is basically creating a space where your body feels that it's safe enough in your nervous system to actually start to make changes for itself. So this is one of the reasons why I think it's a fabulous option for people that are struggling with chronic pain or nervous system stuff, because often with those different types of issues and disorders is that they're really, really layered, and sometimes the root or start of the problem can get so deep that it's really hard to uncover. And often what happens is that we often go to different kinds of practitioners, and we get treated on a surface level, which helps relieve some of our symptoms. But often what will happen is that our symptoms just get relieved temporarily, and we don't always get to kind of the heart of the problem. And the problem with the heart of the problem is it's usually pretty buried. It's kind of like an onion. You got to peel back all of those layers to kind of get underneath to the core. And the beauty of craniosacral therapy is after a series of sessions, and it's different for everybody. For some people, it might be 3 or 4 sessions. For some people, it might be 10 or 12 sessions. Often with cranial, with chronic pain, I tend to look more into the realms of 8 to 12 sessions is generally what helps resolve chronic issues, especially if stuff's been happening a long, long time. And that's because, again, these are little adjustments and changes that your body needs to make before it can go to kind of the root of the problem. So our body has an intelligence, and that's another really important foundation of craniosacral therapy, is that I'm working with people's health, and not just their physical health, but their emotional health, their nervous system health, and the health of the whole being. So not just a particular part. Even though someone might come to me with knee pain, their past history of how they got that knee pain means that I might have to treat them differently than another client with the same knee pain, but they had a different experience of how they got to the knee pain, if that makes sense. So the beauty of craniosacral therapy is that I can take that individual approach, because what I'm doing is listening to what the body's priorities are. So I'm listening to the body and really trying to understand what's going on here and where do you specifically need some support and help. And in that way, things can actually start to adjust themselves. And I talk about this a lot, that the body actually adjusts itself. And some people are kind of like, well, how does that actually work? Well, often the sense is really subtle, and some people might notice kind of heat in their body, or they might notice actually physically movement. Sometimes there's muscle twitches or different little things like twitches and movements that can happen. Sometimes it can feel like a deep internal movement for the person who's my client. And in terms of what's actually happening is your body has an innate intelligence. And what does that mean? So the innate intelligence that I'm talking about is the force that formed us. So when we look through the lens of embryology, now I have no explanation of what necessarily that force might be. For example, I can't explain to you, and neither can anyone else in the scientific realm as of yet, explain to you exactly why we formed the way we formed. But what is amazing is that we have this health and potential capacity to not only grow ourselves from a single cell into this really amazing complex human form, but we have the capacity to regenerate our cells, to rid our body of stuff that's not good for us, to break down complex foods and compounds, and within our organism, assimilate them and use them in the most healthiest, best way possible. And we are basically a really complex organism. So that complex organism requires a lot of organization, and it requires a lot of intelligence. And so that is what I'm talking about with craniosacral therapy. That is the innate intelligence that we're actually working with, and that actually shifts different things inside of us when we are in a session. And what happens is a lot of the times we need a craniosacral therapist or another experienced practitioner to kind of help and act as a guide to help lead us and basically let our body know that it's okay to kind of go to the next steps. So hopefully that is of service and of help in terms of what exactly it is what I do, what exactly is craniosacral therapy in a very short nutshell. And I'm sure this video is probably going to open up lots and lots of other questions. So please ask me. I would love to chat with you. I'd love to connect with you. And if this is something you're curious about, definitely connect. I'm a really huge proponent on no matter what kind of help that you're looking for, whether you're looking for a doctor, an acupuncturist, a dentist, whoever it is that you're working with in your healthcare world, it's really important that you have a really good relationship with that person and that you feel really good about the relationship with that person. So same thing with if this something that I've said has resonated, you feel connected in some way, and it might seem even a little bit unexplainable, you don't even know why. But if there is something that sparks your curiosity, definitely give me a shout, send me a message. I would love to touch base with you, and hopefully I can be of service to you. Anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful day and evening wherever you are. Hope to hear from you soon, and with love and lots of health, signing off, Jen.